100 years ago, the War of Wars, the Great War, ended in the belief that the immense human sacrifice would have put an end to such senseless violence in times to come. Millions lost their lives, millions were displaced, and empires were destroyed, and history was rewritten. 4 years of war also ushered in new methods of waging war, just as old ways were bidden goodbye. Cavalry and rifle assaults gave way to trench warfare. Artillery came to dominate the battlefield, just as chemical weapons caused destruction and panic. On land, a new weapon called the tank was born. In the air, aircrafts were used for the first time for military operations. Beneath the surface, U-boats terrified surface shipping. Demise of positional warfare was announced. In the milieu, an identity was born. That of a determined, hardy, loyal, and indefatigable Indian soldier, whose emergence on the battlefield saved the day for the Allies in many theatres of the war. More than 1 million Indian soldiers went on to fight the war. Almost 70,000 died on the battlefield. Almost 200,000 wounded. Those who were fortunate to come back were a changed lot. They also came back to a world that had inevitably changed. They were sent to foreign shores, bereft of the cause, bereft of the knowledge, bereft of the existence of the other world. For some, it was a taboo to leave the home soil. But went they did, and fought a war that was not their war. For us, the heroes are ours. This production thus is a tribute to the Indian soldier who provided a definite winning edge to the war 100 years ago. This audio-visual presentation covers some of the theatres of the war where the Indian soldiers fought through some of the interesting facts and selected anecdotes. It is by no means a full coverage of the action. 100 years on, a tribute to the Indian soldier. Over 138,000 Indian troops fought in trenches and faced gas attacks. They fought in the Battle of Ypres, Flanders, Somme, Gallipoli, East Africa, Palestine, Egypt, Mesopotamia, and others in all theatres of the war. More than 74,000 became casualties. They are remembered for their bravery, fortitude, friendliness, civility, determination. Indian Army Corps consisted of the 3rd and 7th Division, the first ones to be deployed for operations in the World War I. The 3rd Infantry Division went straight to Egypt and then on to France. The 7th Division was sent straight to the trenches in France. They were not only in foreign lands, they were welcomed by cold, frosty climate, something that they were not prepared for. They were deployed piecemeal, used as flying squads to plug gaps, a new kind of warfare with no training, only determination and grit on their side. They fought gallantly in Ypres. They fought with bayonets in La Bassée. They covered themselves in glory, be it the Sikhs or the Baluchis. They instilled fear in their enemies. Khudadad Khan and Darwan Negi became the first Indians to win a Victoria Cross, the highest award gallantry. In Festubert, Ypres, a story of untold valor emerged. 10 brave Sikhs undertook the impossible task of carrying ammunition to their stranded company through a minefield and continuous hail of bullets. The ammunition was delivered, the company saved, as all the 10 brave Sikhs paid the price with their lives. This is the story of rifleman Kulbir Thapa, who despite being wounded, rescued a British soldier and went on to drag 2 more Gorkha soldiers, unmindful of the deadly gunfire all around him. In the end, even the German soldiers could not help but admire his valor and clap for him. During the Second Battle of Ypres, Sepoy Manta Singh of 15th Ludhiana Sikhs rescued an injured comrade, Captain Henderson. Manta Singh pushed him to safety in a wheelbarrow that he found. He himself was severely injured. Manta Singh and Henderson became lifelong friends as well as brothers in arms. Both their sons too joined the Sikh regiment. They, Asa Singh and Robert, served together in France, Italy, and North Africa during World War II. Indian Army at Gallipoli was represented by 7th Indian Mountain Artillery Brigade, Indian Mule Corps, 108th Indian Field Ambulance, and 29th Indian Infantry Brigade. While their numbers were only 15,000, their contribution was outstanding. In the final count, the Indian casualties were 4,130, with 1,300 dead. An account in General Reginald's words. Soon I found myself running on alone, except for my little bugler, a young, handsome boy, just out of his teens, who came paddling along behind me to act as runner and carry messages. Poor little chap. During the first few minutes, I was knocked out, lying on the parapet with 2 Turks using my body as a rest, over which to shoot, at our second line coming forward. When I fully recovered consciousness, the Turks had gone. I looked around and saw my little bugler lying dead, brutally mutilated. I could see no one else. Stumbled back as best I could. My head was bleeding and I was dazed, and then Uday Singh, a great burly Sikh with a fair beard, who was one of our battalion wrestlers, came out of the reserve trenches, picked me up, slung me over his shoulder, and brought me to safety. And all the time we were being shot at. Indian soldiers proved their mettle in the battles of Sinai, Egypt, and Palestine. Karan Bahadur Rana and Risaldar Badlu Singh won Victoria Cross in these battlefields. Indian cavalry units excelled in the battlefields of the Middle East through their speed and shock action. They were a series of battles and actions. In one incident, Risaldar Major Hamir Singh of Poona Horse captured Colonel T.E. Lawrence, the legendary Lawrence of Arabia, and demanded his surrender in the confusion of battle. He was lucky not to have been shot dead. The accounts of Indian bravery and courage are endless. Stories are countless. Some are recorded and some rewarded. But there are a number of unsung heroes and their actions that save the day. We pay a grateful homage to all those heroes. As the Kohima epithet says, for our future, they made the supreme sacrifice. We owe them a debt forever.
Thank you.